A child split in two. Parents living in different states twice a week. 6-year-old Eli packs his toys into a blue backpack and climbs into his mom's car to head to the airport. He's not going on vacation. He's just traveling from Mom's house in Portland, Oregon to Dad's house in Boise, Idaho, like a little suitcase filled with tears and silence. After a tough divorce in 2023, Megan, Eli's mom, was awarded primary custody. Ryan, Eli's dad, was granted scheduled visitations. But no one expected that a year later, when Ryan moved permanently to another state to start over, Eli would become the legal split of time, space, and emotions. No more normal weekends, no stable classroom. Eli's life turned into a series of cross-state flights, each one carving a silent line between two people who once loved each other. What does the law say when a child is stretched between two states? And who really gets to decide what home means for a kid too young to choose for himself?
Eli and the two parallel worlds. Monday morning in Portland, and a light rain is falling. Megan kneels down to tie Eli's shoelaces and gently tucks Max, his teddy bear, into the backpack. It's the one thing he never leaves behind, no matter where he's going. "Do you want your jacket?" "No, Mom, it's sunny at Dad's place." Eli is only 6, but he already knows how to count time zones, how to pack his bag neatly, and even remembers the Wi-Fi passwords for 2 different homes. His life plays out like music on 2 different stages, each with its own emotional tone. In Portland, Oregon, Eli lives with his mom, a gentle preschool teacher, in a cozy cream-colored house with a lavender garden out back. He walks 10 minutes to his local public school, plays soccer with friends at the park, and falls asleep to bedtime stories every night. But in Boise, Idaho, Eli becomes a weekend kid, although lately he's been spending more and more time there. His dad, Ryan, is a civil engineer who lives on the 6th floor of an apartment building downtown. Ryan bought him a tiny bike, signed him up for art classes, and tries to make every visit feel like a mini vacation. But there's no stable school for Eli in Boise. Every visit means missing class or joining some temporary program. Both places love Eli, but the part no one says out loud is this: he doesn't fully belong in either. Eli starts showing signs something's not right. Sleepwalking, trouble focusing at school, and confusing classmates' names between the 2 states. During a writing exercise at school, the teacher asks, "Eli, who would you like to write a letter to in your family?" He whispers, "I don't know whose house I'm at." Megan's heart sinks when the teacher tells her. She starts keeping a journal every time Eli comes home from Idaho. She jots down little things that worry her. Longer showers, not wanting to open his backpack, or clinging to her more than usual. She believes Ryan is throwing Eli's life off balance. Ryan says the opposite, that Megan won't cooperate and share parenting fairly. This one child, 2 worlds pattern goes on for months, ever since early 2025 when Ryan filed to change the custody order. He wants Eli's official residence moved to Idaho. He says it's for work, financial stability, and a better school environment in Boise. Megan immediately pushes back, saying she can't leave Oregon because of her job and the support system Eli has there. They both love him, and maybe that's why they can't let go. In the end, they end up in court, not to fight for Eli, but to prove which home truly feels like his. Divorce papers can't measure distance. Megan and Ryan's divorce was finalized in October 2023 at the Multnomah County Family Court in Oregon. At the time, they were both still living in Portland. After months of mediation and hearings, they agreed to sign a parenting plan under Oregon family law, specifically ORS Chapter 107.102. Under the agreement, Megan would have primary custody, and Eli would live with her. Ryan was granted extended parenting time, 2 weekends a month, 2 weeks during summer, and alternating holidays. They would share joint legal custody, meaning both had equal say in Eli's education and medical decisions. At first, things went fairly smoothly. But just a few months later, Ryan got a promotion and decided to move to Boise, Idaho, nearly a 7-hour drive or a 1-hour flight from Portland. He believed he could still stick to the scheduled visits as long as he planned everything well. But life doesn't run on an Excel spreadsheet. Flights were often delayed. Eli's lovely. I was exhausted from the travel. Megan had to miss work unexpectedly to handle pickups and drop-offs. Every weekend trip to Dad meant missing school, and every return to Mom came with a tiring adjustment. Slowly, the two parents started pointing fingers. Megan said, "You treat him like luggage. No routine, no respect for his needs." Ryan replied, "You act like he's your property. I'm his father. I deserve a fuller role in raising him." Megan began denying some visits, saying Eli was too tired. In response, Ryan filed a petition in Ada County, Idaho, asking the court to modify the custody order. He wanted primary custody, or, at the very least, to move Eli's official residence to Idaho and enroll him in school there. Megan pushed back, saying the Idaho court had no authority because the original divorce was handled in Oregon. And just like that, it became 2 states, 2 court systems, 1 child. The legal issue now wasn't just about who's right or wrong. It was about which court even had the power to decide. When parents live in different states and each wants home court advantage. Eli's case began catching attention among local family law attorneys, not because it was legally complicated, but because it mirrored a growing issue across the U.S., where divorce doesn't just divide people emotionally, but stretches families across state lines, legal systems, and overwhelming court costs. And through all of it, Eli only knew one thing, that he was always leaving, never staying long enough to truly call any place home. Federal law and interstate custody when a child becomes the center of a legal battle in 2 different court systems. The first question isn't who's right or wrong, it's who has the authority to decide. Megan and Ryan's case had moved far beyond emotions. They were now deep in the complex legal territory governed by one of the most important federal frameworks on child custody in the U.S., the Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction and Enforcement Act, or UCCJEA. About the UCCJEA? UCCJEA is a model law adopted by 49 out of 50 U.S. states, all except Massachusetts. It was created to prevent custody conflicts across state lines and stop the problem of dad files in one state, mom files in another. Each state passes its own version of the law with slightly different codes, but the rules work the same. In Oregon, it's enforced under ORS Chapter 109.701 to 109.834 and has been in effect since 2001. In Idaho, it's applied through Idaho Code Sections 32-11-101 to 32-11-402, passed by the state
legislature. How jurisdiction is decided under UCCJEA. According to Section 201 of the UCCJEA, the child's home state, in the 6 months before any custody case is filed, has first jurisdiction. If there's no clear home state, the court looks at which state has a strong connection, like where the child got care, education, or medical services. If both states have a reason to handle the case, one court can refuse in favor of the other if it makes more sense. That's called forum non-conveniens, under Section 207. Back to Eli's case. Eli had lived mainly in Oregon for over 4 years, and during the 6 months before Ryan filed the case, Eli was still attending school in Portland. Even though Ryan lived in Idaho, Eli hadn't been there long enough to count as a 6-month continuous stay. So under the law, Oregon was still considered his home state. That's why the Multnomah County Family Court in Oregon was the one with the legal authority to handle the dispute. Under ORS 109.741. In response, the Ada County Court in Idaho officially declined to take the case, citing Idaho Code Section 32-11-206. But even after jurisdiction was settled, the bigger question remained.
Ryan still had the right to ask for changes to the custody order, but now he had to do it through the Oregon courts. Decisions about where Eli would live or go to school had to follow the best interest of the child standard, a legal rule that sounds simple but is deeply subjective. In her filing, Megan listed 12 reasons why Eli should stay in Portland, everything from healthcare and education to his social environment. Ryan submitted a psychological evaluation from a child specialist in Boise, claiming Eli was thriving more with his father. Both sides had valid points, but the law can't split a child in half, and that's when the court had no choice but to begin the hardest part, a full hearing, bringing in expert witnesses, reviewing every detail, just to decide where is truly best for a little boy who doesn't 2 years. I get to choose the final negotiation. Who's truly putting the child first? On the morning of July 8, 2025, Courtroom 6 at the Multnomah County Family Court in Portland, Oregon, was unusually quiet. No reporters, no flashing cameras. But for everyone inside, it felt like the most important hearing of their lives. Presiding was Judge Gloria Sutton, a veteran with nearly 30 years of experience in child custody cases. She knew the law might be clear, but a child's heart doesn't follow legal clauses. Megan, represented by one of Oregon's top family law attorneys, made her case. Eli needs stability. My son is rooted in Portland. Moving him to Idaho would shatter the emotional and educational foundation we've built. She presented Eli's school schedule, teacher reports, and letters from his child therapist. The evaluation showed that after every return from Idaho, Eli took nearly a full week to readjust to his classroom. Ryan, wearing a light gray suit, spoke with a low, slightly hoarse voice. I'm not just a W.
Weekend visitor. I'm Eli's father. I want to be more than a FaceTime call each night. I didn't move away to be distant. I moved to build something better for him. He submitted income records, a contract for a new home in Boise near a children's park, and enrollment plans for Eli at a highly rated elementary school. The court called in the custody evaluator Linda Chen, who had met with Eli 4 times and interviewed both parents. Her conclusion was clear. Eli loves both his mom and dad, but right now he's being pulled along by adult schedules. We're seeing early signs of mild anxiety. Keeping Eli in Portland can help with emotional and educational stability, but we also need a plan to make sure his father isn't just a weekend presence. Judge Gloria looked at the 2 adults for a long moment. Then she placed a sheet of paper on the bench, not a ruling, but a proposal for a middle ground. Eli would continue living with his mom in Portland. Ryan would get more parenting time, included 2 weeks during the school year and 6 weeks in the summer, along with adjusted evening video calls. Both parents would share the cost of a travel companion, someone to safely escort Eli between states and support him emotionally. And Ryan would be encouraged to relocate closer to Oregon if he wanted to request expanded custody in the future. No one completely won, but no one lost either. Megan quietly cried. Ryan lowered his head and said nothing. Nobody objected. Nobody added a word. Because after all the arguments, all the paperwork, all the hours in court, the only thing that mattered now was the little boy waiting just outside in a warm child care room, holding his teddy bear, Max, finding a home between 2 states after the July 2025 court hearing. Eli's life slowly settled into a new rhythm. No more sudden trips, no more missed school days, no more quiet goodbyes where a packed backpack felt like a permanent departure. Megan kept her job at the preschool in Portland, but she learned how to let go without disappearing. Every week she helped Eli prepare a small gift to send to his dad. Sometimes a colorful drawing, sometimes a book he'd just finished reading. She no longer frowned when Eli said, "It's really fun at Dad's." Instead, she smiled and answered, "Then you have to tell me all about it, okay?"
Ryan didn't change jobs, but he rearranged his project schedule to work remotely a few days each month, enough to fly into Portland when needed. He signed up for an online course on child development, not to win custody, but to understand his son better. He still scribbled notes on the fridge calendar in messy handwriting. Special day for Eli, don't miss the call. And Ailey, the boy who once felt split in half, could now stand between two worlds without feeling lost. His school was steady, his classmates familiar. Weekends came with regular video calls to Dad, not rushed check-ins, but calm storytime sessions they read through together. In the summer, he looked forward to trips to Boise, going to the water park and drawing side by side with his dad. At the end of the term, he gave his teacher a picture he drew. 2 houses, one with a blue roof and one with a red roof. Beneath it, in shaky handwriting, he wrote, "My home. Both are real." The court didn't split Ailey in two. Instead, they helped the grown-ups learn how to share love without dividing a child's heart. Not every family gets a peaceful ending. But Ailey's story shows us something important. The law can't force love, but it can make space for it to grow the right way. Maybe no one ever walks into family court without carrying a crack in their heart, whether they're a father, a mother, or a child. But what haunts me most isn't the fight over custody. It's the way we, the adults, sometimes forget that children can't define home by law. Eli's story showed me a simple but painful truth. We can love our kids with everything we've got. But if that love comes tangled with ego, pride, or resentment, then that same love can hurt them more than absence ever could. The law doesn't pick sides. It only shines a light on the path. It's up to us, the grown-ups, to walk it wisely. The beauty of the law isn't in its rigid rules, but in the moments when it knows to step aside, to make space for compassion, for compromise, for a child to belong fully to both parents, not by court order, but through connection. I believe that in a country like America, where individual rights are held so high, emotional responsibility to our children deserves just as much care. Because in the end, winning or losing a custody battle will never matter more than watching a child smile, knowing with full certainty that they're not something to be split apart, but a bridge that holds on to the best of two people who were once a family.
How do you find today's story? Leave us a comment sharing your feelings and thoughts, and don't forget to click the subscribe button in the bottom right corner of the screen to follow more stories in daily life, humane and inspiring about life in America, where the law and humanity sometimes meet at the right time. Disclaimer: this video is an AI-generated simulation for educational, informational, and legal awareness purposes only. It does not promote illegal behavior or opposition to government. It is not a substitute for professional legal advice. All situations are illustrative in nature. The characters in the video are fictional and do not represent real people. Each case and local law may vary. Viewers should consult a qualified immigration attorney or contact their local authorities for accurate and appropriate legal guidance.